Hola and welcome to my channel Clear Vision, the place where you can find lots of videos giving practical psychology which you can apply to your life today for better wellness or moving forward from something you may be going through right now. My name's Simon, I'm a psychotherapist and a lecturer, and all the content here is based on my experiences and my learning with clients as well as within my own life. Today I wanted to discuss or talk about the recovery period, the healing period after leaving a relationship with a narcissist, and specifically an abusive relationship. I think it's important to note here that any person who has suffered abuse will have their own perception of it, their trauma will be unique to them, therefore their recovery period will be unique to them. So take from this video what you feel is relevant and discard anything else, or keep at the back of your mind anything else in case it comes up for you later on. And to add on to the end of that, also the recovery period takes as long as it takes, and that again is unique and individual to each person depending on various factors. So be kind to yourself and be patient with yourself. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to assume that somehow you've managed to escape the clutches of a narcissist or leave a narcissistic relationship, an abusive one. What you may face at some point, either in the early days after you've left, or they've got rid of you, or they've rejected you, or later on as they find out that you've begun to move on, is something called vacuuming, where the narcissist will attempt to vacuum you back up. They will do this through trying to get sympathy from you. They'll come out with I don't know, things to make you feel sorry for them, some family tragedy or something's happened to them, and they will try to, they'll employ a variety of tactics to try and entice you back in. They may even go back to the love bombing stage, and they'll try and entice you back in. You have to remember at this point, this is not about you. This is about their self-concept, which you will have damaged in some way. So if you've left, you've definitely threatened their self-concept. If they've rejected you and you've managed to move on, you have definitely damaged their self-concept, or you're a potential threat to that self-concept, which is they are amazing, they're omnipotent, etc., etc., and nobody can live without them, and nobody's better than they are. So be aware of the vacuuming, and especially if you're in at a vulnerable point, you may well fall back into it. And in addition to this, there is something called re-victimization. It's a phenomena widely recognized where sufferers of abuse who've managed to leave the abusive dynamic, and this can also be people who've been victims of violent crimes, find themselves being re-victimized. They find themselves back in an abusive relationship, or the violent crime happens again in some other town, some other place. Like I said, it's a widely accepted phenomena. I'll do a whole other video on it if people want. And there are various factors that play into, or that are catalysts for this phenomena. But it is something to look out for. And often I hear from people, they say, oh, I got out of this narcissistic relationship, I healed, I spent some time on my own, I got into another one. A year down the line, or 2 years down the line, I found myself in another narcissistic relationship, being on the receiving end of abuse. I don't understand what's happened. Well, you could call it re-victimization, and there's a reason. The reason specifically to relationships with narcissists is the way the narcissist pulls you into the relationship through the love bombing, through making you feel amazing, through this covert abuse where they come in sideways and slowly erode at you and manipulate you and try to control you. So it takes a long time, and before you know it, you're in a full-blown relationship with them and feeling that you have no escape, and maybe realizing oh shit, I've done it again, or shit, I'm back here again. So there's don't blame yourself for this. There is this aspect of the relationship with a narcissist to be aware of. The healing and the processing and the result of being in a relationship with a narcissist can leave a person with complete mistrust in their own judgment of other people. And again, because of the way the abuse happens, people doubt their own sanity, doubt their own perception of reality. Everything gets thrown into doubt when you are with a narcissist. Therefore, when you are no longer with them, this doubt still remains, and it's something that has to be worked on, which can be done in one of two ways, either through a therapist who is experienced and skilled with working with this type of thing, and also having a support network. Another common trait within narcissistic abuse is to pull the victim, and I really don't like the word victim, but to pull the victim away from their support network, away from friends, away from close family, in order for the manipulation and the control to really ramp itself up and to really have somebody at their mercy. There is a need to isolate that person. So people often find that's another reason people don't leave, is because they've got nowhere to go, no network. They've left their network or been coerced away from it. So find yourself a support network, get back in contact, reach out to those close friends, that close family, form new bonds with people, or get yourself a therapist and build a trustful relationship with them. 1, for the healing process, 2, for support, and 3, to be able to check out your perception of reality. So as you move through recovery and you get yourself back into the world, you may well go back on the dating scene, or you be invited on a few dates, or you'll come across people and various red flags may go up for you. This feels like a repeat, this feels familiar, or you may find yourself sliding back in without realizing, and you need to check reality out. And the way to check reality out is to speak to your support network and check it out with friends. So yeah, I went on a date with this person, and they seemed really, really nice, and I mistrust it, and I can't think why. So they can give you some feedback. Or maybe you had a couple of red flags pop up and you don't know if you're being overly paranoid, overly cautious, and again, this could be checked out. So if you imagine you have two spheres of reality, you have the sphere of reality, which is your perception of reality, and the sphere of reality, which is actual reality. And if the two are highly likely to be quite far apart once you come out of an abusive relationship with a narcissist, what you want to do is to close the gap of that incongruence between the two. So your perception of reality should begin to overlap with the actuality of reality. Because one thing we don't want to do is deny ourselves the opportunity to have a loving, healthy relationship with a romantic partner, close friends, because of our past trauma we received from being in a relationship with an abusive narcissist. So reach back out to that support network. There is some conscious effort, some conscious work that needs to be done within the recovery period. Well, it doesn't need to be done, but it's very, very powerful if you can do it. But it is quite a painful part of the process. And that is to look at your responsibility, your actions, what you did do, what you didn't do, within the relationship with a narcissist. And this is not about victim blaming. This is not where I'm going with this. This is about, did you see red flags and you chose to ignore them? If you did, why? Did you not trust your instincts, or do you have quite a deep fear of being alone or on your own, so therefore you settled within a relationship that you knew wasn't correct? And once you're in that relationship, do you avoid conflict? Are your boundaries formed? Are they defined? Do you stick to your boundaries? Did you lay the boundaries down in the relationship? All of these things can help you see how for instance, and for want of a better phrase, you were selected by your abuser, by the narcissist. And this brings me on to another phenomenon, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but often perpetrators of violence, perpetrators of abuse, narcissists, victimizers will say and speak of the fact that they can spot their victims out. They can pick them out of a crowd. They can see that there are traits, ways of being, certain things that stand out and give signals to potential abusers that they are able to manipulate, coerce this person. And it doesn't always mean that, like I said, it's not victim blaming, and it doesn't mean you're weak or you didn't see it or you're naive. If you haven't come across it, you haven't got the tools to be able to, you haven't got the experience to be able to know that, you know. If you don't put your hand in the fire, you don't know that it's hot and that it burns, and you don't know not to do it again. It's that kind of thing. And like I say, it's a painful process to go through and look at, but it's hugely empowering. It's hugely powerful, because when you realize that you can then correct some of these things, you can define your boundaries, pay attention to the red flags, begin to trust your intuition, your inner wisdom. And then when you come across someone who is attempting to manipulate, coerce, give you word salad, try to control you, try to abuse you, you will know what it's there, and all the alarms and everything will go off, the boundaries will come down in place, you know, and you will be able to step away and move yourself away. So it's like I say, it's a hugely powerful thing to do, but it can be, quite painful to admit certain things about oneself. I think for the moment that pretty much covers it, other than and then I think the final thing I wanted to kind of cover was, a lot of people find the world quite overwhelming once they're in the recovery period, especially from a long-term abusive relationship. Time maybe doesn't matter so much, it's the impact. And what I would say here is, try not to do too much. Don't go, this is where you really need to begin to set some gentle boundaries. You know, if you don't want to attend that social function, then don't go. If you want to attend a social function but you don't want to stay too long, then don't. Immerse yourself gradually back into the world at your pace, and make sure you have a sanctuary to go to, that your home. That's your sanctuary, that's your safe place. And for God's sake, don't tell the narcissist where you live, your abuser where you live, but find yourself somewhere safe where you can close the door on the world and recharge your batteries, recuperate, and build your energy levels back up. If you burn yourself out by thinking you should be out there in the world and doing this and this and this, you're going to burn yourself out. Recovery and healing can take a long time, and it's a process that one has to go through, where you gradually make increments of progress and healing, and get yourself back into the world and functioning and living the life that you want to live. But that takes time. So that means loving yourself, taking care of yourself, and treating yourself like someone who deserves to be loved and cared for. And if you could do that, someone else is going to do that as well. Someone else is going to learn how to do that. But if you can't do that for yourself, and this is a difficult one to learn as well, if you can't do that for yourself, no one else is going to do it. That's for sure. I hope all of this helps. If you are going through this right now, please look after yourself, take care of yourself, reach out to your support network, or to a therapist. And other than that, I'll see you next time. Please feel free to leave any comments, like and subscribe. Hopefully you found this useful, and take care of yourselves. Have a good day.